The hovercraft touched down in District 13's hangar bay at 0347 hours. Engines screaming. Hull scorched from Capitol fire. The rear ramp dropped. Peeta Mellark stumbled out first. Blood matted his blonde hair. Arena dirt caked his skin. Behind him, medics carried Finnick O'Dare on a stretcher. Unconscious, leg shattered. Then BT, burns covering both hands from the electrical blast that had destroyed the dome. Hamish Abernathy stood on the concrete. Plutarch Heavensby beside him. 24 District 13 personnel in gray uniforms. Medical teams, armed guards. Hamish scanned the ramp, looked past Peeta, past Finnick, past BT. Where's Katniss? At the space where she should have been. She was. Peeta's voice broke. In Sector 4, you were supposed to get her first. The plan was professional, controlled. BT. Finnick. Yours, her tracker was transmitting from Sector 4 exactly where it should have been. We pulled the signal. BT's eyes opened on the gurney. They removed it. Before the dome blew. Capitol physicians. Removed her tracker. Left it transmitting. We grabbed an empty signal. Just the hovercraft's cooling engines ticking. Someone's radio crackling static. You're telling me, Hamish said slowly, that Katniss Everdeen is still in the arena. The arena's gone, Plutarch said. Collapsed. Capitol forces secured the site within minutes. If she survived the dome explosion, they have her. A monitor on the hangar wall flickered. Caesar Flickerman's face appeared. Blue hair, serious expression, no smile. Citizens of Panem. The Capitol announces the apprehension of terrorist Katniss Everdeen following her attempted escape from the Quarterquell Arena. She is in custody. She will answer for crimes against the state. The feed cut to footage, Katniss being dragged from arena wreckage by 4 peacekeepers. Restraints on her wrists, blood running from a cut above her eye. She was screaming, no audio, but her mouth formed words. Desperate, searching, then the screen went black. Peeta's legs folded. He hit the concrete. Medics rushed forward, but he shoved them back. I was supposed to protect her. His voice was a whisper. That was the entire plan. Keep Katniss alive. Get her out. I had one job. One. The plan failed, Plutarch said. Capital countermeasures we didn't anticipate. That's not. I failed. Peeta looked up at Hamish. She's in there because I didn't stay with her. Because I let the dome separate us. Because. Hamish grabbed Peeta's shoulder. Hard. You're in shock, you're injured, and you're about to be the most important person in this rebellion whether you like it or not. So get yourself to medical, get patched up, and prepare yourself. Prepare for what? For President Coin to decide what to do with you. 3 levels underground, President Alma Coin sat at a steel conference table. Gray hair pulled back, gray dress, gray eyes studying Plutarch Heavensby and Boggs across from her. Assessment, Coin said. We lost the Mockingjay. Plutarch said. Our primary symbolic asset, the girl who volunteered, who defied the Capitol twice. The districts were rallying behind her. Without her, we adapt. Coin's voice was flat. What assets did we gain? Finnick O'Dare, extremely popular in District 4 and among Capitol audiences. BT, technological genius. Peeta Mellark, winner of the 74th Games alongside Katniss, known for his interviews, Coin interrupted. For his ability to speak, to connect emotionally with audiences, for being naturally charismatic without requiring scripts or coaching. But he's not a warrior. He's not Katniss Everdeen, Coin said, which is precisely why he may be more valuable. Boggs leaned forward. Madam President, the districts expect the Mockingjay. They've been preparing for Katniss to lead this rebellion. How do we explain? We don't replace her. We reframe her. Coin stood, walked to a wall monitor, pulled up footage of Peeta's interviews with Caesar Flickerman, the 74th Games confession of love, the Quarterquell announcement of Katniss's fabricated pregnancy. Peeta Mellark has spent 2 years on victory tours, being charming, likable, emotionally intelligent. The Capitol made him famous, made him sympathetic. Every district knows his face, knows he loves Katniss Everdeen. She paused the footage on Peeta's face, mid-speech, genuine emotion in his eyes. Katniss inspired through defiance, Coin continued. Peeta will inspire through grief, through shared suffering, through empathy. We don't make him the new Mockingjay. We make him the voice of her absence. The grieving partner, the boy who lost everything to the Capitol and fights to honor her memory. That's actually brilliant. It's sustainable, it's controllable, and it's more powerful than you think. Coin turned from the monitor. Grief motivates better than rage. Rage burns out. Every broadcast, every speech, Peeta talks about Katniss, keeps her alive in people's hearts, makes himself the living embodiment of what the Capitol stole from all of us. And if the districts reject him? Boggs asked. They won't, because we're not asking them to forget Katniss. We're asking them to fight for her, with Peeta as their voice. Coin returned to her seat. Prepare him for broadcast within 48 hours, film in District 12's ruins if possible. Maximum emotional impact, no script. Let him speak from the heart. For Katniss, we'll explore options. But understand, we have no assets in the Capitol, no intelligence on where she's held. A rescue operation now would be suicide. So we abandon her. We prioritize winning this war. If Katniss Everdeen's capture inspires the districts to fight harder, then her sacrifice wasn't in vain. Coin stood. Get Peeta Mellark ready. He's our Mockingjay now. Whether he knows it or not, District 13's medical bay was white tile and fluorescent lights. 30 beds in rows. Peeta sat on one, bandaged head, watching a small television mounted on the wall. Capitol News. Another broadcast. Katniss in a white interrogation room, restrained to a chair, a Capitol physician standing nearby with a syringe. Peeta's hands clenched the bed frame. Haymitch appeared in the doorway, carried 2 trays set one beside Peeta. You need to eat. I'm not hungry. Eat anyway. You're filming in District 12 tomorrow. Can't look like a skeleton on camera. Peeta didn't touch the food, kept watching the screen. Katniss's face, hollow eyes, visible weight loss even after just 3 days. Coin's going to use me, Peeta said quietly. Use me to replace Katniss. To be some kind of, what did she call it, voice of her absence? Yes, that's disgusting. That's war. Haymitch sat down. But here's the thing, kid. You're going to do it anyway. Why would I? Coin won't authorize a rescue mission for a captured rebel. Too risky, too expensive. But if you make yourself valuable enough, if you become so important to this rebellion that Coin can't afford to lose your cooperation, then maybe she'll consider a rescue to keep you productive. I want you to survive. I want Katniss to survive. This is how we do both. Haymitch pulled out a flask, took a drink. Coin's going to send you to District 12, put you in front of cameras, ask you to talk about Katniss. When you do it, make it real. Make it hurt. Make every person watching feel like they lost someone they love. What if I can't? You convinced an entire nation you were in love with Katniss when you'd barely spoken to her. You can do this. Haymitch stood. The broadcast is tomorrow morning, 0600 hours. Cressida will film, Plutarch will supervise, and you're going to give the performance of your life. It's not a performance. Peeta stopped. I actually love her. You know that, right? It's not fake. It never was. I know, kid. That's why this is going to work. Haymitch left. Peeta sat alone. On the screen, Katniss's interrogation continued. Caesar Flickerman asking questions. Her responses inaudible. Just her face. Terrified, defiant, breaking. Peeta stood, walked to the monitor, placed his hand against the screen where her face was. I'm going to get you out, he whispered. Whatever it takes. Whatever Coin wants me to do, I'll do it. I promise. The screen went dark. District 12 was ash and rubble. The hovercraft landed in what had been the town square, where Katniss and Peeta had been reaped, twice. Now it was scorched earth. The Justice Building collapsed. The merchant sector gone. The scene where Peeta had grown up, erased. Capitol firebombs had turned the entire district into a graveyard. Peeta stepped off the hovercraft, Cressida's camera crew behind him, Plutarch watching from a distance. The air smelled like smoke, like death, like everything the Capitol was willing to do to maintain control. We're ready when you are, Cressida said gently. No marks, no blocking, just stand where it feels right and talk. The walls had collapsed inward. The ovens, where his father had taught him to decorate cakes, where his mother had beaten him for burning bread, where he'd watched Katniss through the window for 11 years, were buried under debris. He stopped there, in front of the bakery's remains. Cressida positioned the camera, gave a signal. The red light blinked on. Peeta looked into the lens, saw his reflection in the glass. Behind him, the ruins of everything he'd known. I don't know if Katniss can hear this, Peeta began, voice rough. But if she can, I'm sorry. I promised I'd keep you safe. Promised we'd get out together, and I failed." He paused, breathed, continued. "The Capitol wants us to give up. They want us to see what they're doing to her and decide resistance costs too much. But that's exactly why we have to fight. Because if we stop now, everything she sacrificed means nothing." The words came faster, clearer. "I'm not the Mockingjay. I'm not a warrior. I'm just the boy from the bakery who's loved her since we were 5 years old. Since I heard her sing and the birds stopped to listen. But if that's enough, if being that boy makes President Snow scared enough to torture her on television, then I'll be that boy on every screen in Panem until we bring her home." Tears ran down his face. "Katniss, if you're watching, we're coming for you. All of us. Every district. Every person you inspired. We're going to tear the Capitol apart until we find you. I promise. I won't fail you again." He stopped, stood in the ruins, crying. The camera kept rolling. Cressida waited 30 seconds. Then, cut. Plutarch approached. "That was Peeta. That was perfect. I wasn't acting. That's why it's perfect." Plutarch gestured to his communications officer. "Get this broadcast to every district. Every screen we can hack. Tonight." But 8 was enough. In District 11, field workers stopped mid-harvest, watched Peeta's face on commandeered screens. An old woman started crying, then another, then 100. By sunset, they were marching on peacekeepers. In District 8, factory workers shut down textile production, gathered in streets. Someone painted Katniss's face on a wall with the caption, "Still fighting, so are we." Disappeared into forests, began guerrilla attacks on supply routes. In District 4, fishermen refused to work, demanded Finnick Odair's release from Capitol custody. Not knowing he was already in District 13, the rebellion, fracturing after the Quarter Quell disaster, solidified. Recruitment in District 13 jumped 40% in 72 hours. Supply donations tripled. Districts that had been wavering committed fully. In District 13's command center, Coin watched the numbers, watched the footage of Peeta speaking, watched the response cascade across Panem. "It's working," Plutarch said. "Of course it's working. Grief is more powerful than hope. Hope can be crushed. Grief demands revenge." Coin turned to her communications officer. "Schedule Peeta for another broadcast in 3 days. Same format, different location. Keep the emotional pressure constant. What about Katniss? The rescue planning? Begin preliminary assessment. I want options on my desk in 2 weeks, but make it clear. We're evaluating feasibility, nothing more." Plutarch understood. Coin had no intention of risking assets on a rescue, but she needed Peeta cooperative. Planning a mission cost nothing. Executing it was another matter. Week 2, the Capitol, Presidential Mansion, Sublevel 3. Katniss sat in a white room. White walls, white floor, white ceiling. Lights that never dimmed, no windows, no sense of time. She'd been here 6 days, or 7, or 5. Impossible to know. The door opened. 2 peacekeepers entered, grabbed her arms, lifted her from where she'd been sitting. "Please," Katniss said. "Horse, is Prim safe? My sister." They never answered. Never spoke, just dragged her down corridors to another white room. This one had cameras, medical equipment, a chair with restraints. They strapped her down, left. A screen on the wall activated. Caesar Flickerman's face appeared. Gentle, too gentle. "Hello, Katniss. We're going to talk today about choices, about consequences. Are you ready? Where's Prim?" The screen changed, showed footage of Prim in District 13. Alive, healthy, working in a medical unit. Relief flooded through Katniss. "She's okay. For now," Caesar said, "but her safety depends on you, on your cooperation, on whether you're willing to help us end this rebellion peacefully." "I'll never help you, not even to protect Prim?" The screen changed again. Showed Peeta, standing in District 12's ruins, giving his speech, crying. Katniss's breath caught. "Peeta." He escaped the arena. He's in District 13 now, leading the rebellion in your name. Every time he speaks, more districts join the fight, more people die. All because of you. That's not, "I didn't." You started this. You volunteered for your sister. You defied the Capitol in the 74th Games. You destroyed the Quarter Quell Arena. Every death since then is your responsibility. Yes, Caesar's face filled the screen. But you can stop it. You can end the killing. Tell the districts the truth, that you were wrong, that rebellion only brings suffering. that President Snow showed you mercy. Will you do that? Never. Caesar sighed. I was afraid you'd say that. The screen went dark. The lights intensified. Katniss squeezed her eyes shut. A hissing sound, sweet-smelling gas entering the room. Tracker-jacker venom. Katniss screamed, Week 3. District 13. Peeta's assigned quarters. Small room, single bed, desk, bathroom. Peeta barely used it. Spent most hours in the art studio Coin had authorized. Painting. Tonight's canvas was massive. 8 feet tall, mounted on a wall. Rue, the 12-year-old from District 11 who'd allied with Katniss in the 74th Games, who'd been killed by Marvel's spear, who Katniss had covered with flowers. Peeta painted her face photorealistically. Dark skin, bright eyes, the exact expression she'd worn when Katniss sang to her as she died. Behind the portrait, text in careful letters, she died free. A knock. Haymitch entered with food. You missed dinner again. Not hungry. Eat, or I'll have medical tube feed you. Your choice. Took the tray, ate mechanically. Bread, stew, water. Tasted nothing. The mural's good, Haymitch said. Cressida wants to film it tomorrow. Add it to the next broadcast. I'm painting Thresh next, then Mags, then every tribute the Capitol murdered. Peeta's voice was flat. If they're going to use me as propaganda, I'll make sure people remember why we're fighting. Not abstract ideas, real people, real faces. Coin won't like that. She wants you focused on Katniss. Every speech, every painting, every broadcast, it's all about making this rebellion strong enough that Coin has to authorize a rescue. And if she doesn't, Haymitch laughed, bitter. You're a baker, not a soldier. You wouldn't last 10 minutes in the Capitol. I'm not sitting here making speeches while she's tortured. That's exactly what you're going to do, because that's what keeps her alive. Haymitch took a drink from his flask. Snow's smart. He knows killing Katniss makes her a martyr, makes the rebellion explode. But keeping her alive, torturing her, breaking her on camera, that demoralizes people. As long as she's valuable to him as a weapon, she lives. Peeta wanted to argue, couldn't. Haymitch was right. Have they broadcast anything new? Peeta asked. Not since yesterday. Snow's keeping her off camera for now. Probably because your speeches generate too much sympathy. Every time they show her suffering recruitment spikes, good, not good, it means he's changing tactics. When he puts her back on television, it'll be worse. The door opened. Coin entered with Boggs and Plutarch. Mr. Mellark, we need to discuss your next assignment. Peeta didn't turn around. Kept painting. I'm busy. It can wait. This is time sensitive. Everything with you is time sensitive. Coin's expression didn't change. Your broadcasts have been extraordinarily effective. District 11 has fully committed. District 8's factories are under our control. District 4 turned after you painted Mags. You're doing exactly what we need. Because we're attempting liberation of District 2, the Nut, their military installation, heavily fortified. Our forces will take casualties. We need you there. Need you to convince the workers inside that surrender is better than dying for the Capitol. I'm not a military strategist. You're a voice people trust. You speak, they listen. That's more valuable than any weapon. Boggs commands your security. Cressida documents everything. And what do I get in return? Coin's eyes narrowed. Excuse me? Every assignment, every broadcast, every speech. I do what you ask. What do I get in return? When does the rescue mission happen? We've discussed this. We don't have the resources. You have resources for District 2, for hovercrafts and bombs and full military operations, but not for one extraction. District 2 serves the strategic goal of, I don't care about strategy, I care about Katniss. Peeta's voice was hard. You want me in District 2. Fine. But you start planning her rescue. You commit resources. You give me a timeline, or I'm done being your Mockingjay. Silence. Coin stared. Peeta stared back. Finally, Coin nodded. I'll have Plutarch assemble a planning team. They'll develop rescue scenarios. But understand, this doesn't guarantee execution. If the risk is too high, then make it lower. That's what planning is for. Peeta turned back to his painting. I'll be in District 2. Do your job, and I'll do mine. Coin left. Boggs and Plutarch followed. After they were gone, Haymitch spoke. That was dangerous. Coin doesn't respond well to ultimatums. I don't care. She wants to use me? Fine. But I'm using her right back. Peeta picked up his brush, added final details to Rue's portrait. Her eyes seemed alive. "Real or not real?" Peeta whispered. "I can save her." No one answered. Week 4. The Capitol. Snow's study. President Snow sat behind his desk. White roses in vases around the room, their scent masking the blood that perpetually leaked from sores in his mouth. His head of security stood across from him, reporting. "Miss Everdeen's conditioning is progressing. The tracker-jacker venom treatments have established fear associations. Gale Hawthorne triggers panic responses. Primrose Everdeen triggers loss anxiety. Any mention of rebellion or resistance causes immediate distress." "And her compliance?" Snow asked. "Improving. She now reads prepared statements with minimal resistance, believes cooperation protects her sister." "Show me." Sitting across from Caesar, calm, medicated. "Caesar, Katniss. Why are you here?" "Katniss. Flat effect. I defied the Capitol. I caused suffering. I need to make it right. That rebellion only brings death. That President Snow showed me mercy. That the districts should stop fighting." Snow smiled. "When can we broadcast this?" "One more week of conditioning. Let the neural pathways solidify. We want zero chance of on-camera breakdown." 1 week, then prime time across all districts. "I want everyone to see their Mockingjay pledge allegiance." Snow poured a drink. "And prepare for her eventual release. After the rebels are defeated, we'll return her to District 12. Broken but alive, proof that the Capitol's mercy is real, and so is its justice." The security chief left. Snow looked out his window at the Capitol below. The rebellion was accelerating exactly as planned. Peeta Mellark was inspiring the districts beautifully, making them reckless, making them desperate, making them believe victory was possible. And when they committed everything to one final assault on the Capitol, Snow would spring his trap. The pods, the mutations, the defenses built into every street. The Capitol would become one massive arena, and the rebels would die like tributes. Snow raised his glass to Peeta Mellark, the perfect Mockingjay, leading people toward their own destruction. Week 5, District 2, The Nut. Rebel forces surrounded the mountain fortress. Inside, 10,000 Capitol loyalists, peacekeepers, military personnel, weapons manufacturers. Outside, 8,000 rebels with artillery and determination. Peeta stood with Boggs on a ridge overlooking the installation, Cressida's camera crew nearby. "The plan is simple," Boggs explained. "Explosives at structural points. Detonate the mountain avalanches. Seals all exits. Estimated casualties, total." Peeta stared. "You're going to kill 10,000 people. They're Capitol loyalists. They manufacture weapons that kill district citizens. This is justice. This is mass murder. This is war." Boggs turned to his team. "Prepare detonation. 30 minutes. Peeta grabbed Boggs's arm. "Wait. Let me talk to them first. Give them a chance to surrender." "They won't. You don't know that." Boggs looked at Plutarch. Plutarch shrugged. "Can't hurt. If he fails, we proceed." They set up broadcast equipment, aimed speakers at the Nut's entrance, gave Peeta a microphone. He stood on the ridge, looked at the mountain, imagined 10,000 people inside about to be buried alive, thought about what Katniss would do, spoke. "My name is Peeta Mellark. District 12. Some of you remember me from the games. The Capitol made me a victor, gave me everything I was supposed to want, but they also took the girl I love, Katniss Everdeen. They're torturing her right now." His voice echoed off the mountain. "I know you're loyalists. I know you believe in President Snow, in the system. But here's the truth. We're just people. We work, we love, we try to survive, just like you. In 30 minutes, this mountain collapses. Everyone inside dies. That's the plan, but it doesn't have to be. You can walk out. Right now. Lay down weapons, join us. Not because you believe in our cause, I don't expect that, but because living is better than dying. I'm not asking you to betray everything you believe. I'm asking you to choose life. Because that's what Katniss would ask. She wouldn't want 10,000 people buried. She'd want a chance for mercy, for something better than more killing." Peeta lowered the microphone, waited. 1 minute, 2, 5. The Nut's main entrance opened. A woman emerged, peacekeeper uniform, hands raised, then another, then 10, then 100. They poured out, Capitol personnel, peacekeepers, workers, civilians, unarmed, surrendering. By the time the flow stopped, 4,000 had exited. The remaining 6,000 stayed inside, chose loyalty over life. Boggs gave the order. The explosives detonated, the mountain collapsed. Everyone who'd stayed behind was gone. Peeta turned away before the dust settled, District 13's command center. Coin watched the footage, 4,000 Capitol personnel surrendering to Peeta's words. "He's becoming a problem," Coin said. "He's becoming a legend," Plutarch corrected. "Look at recruitment. Districts 3, 4, 7, 8, 11 fully committed. District 1 wavering. We're winning. We're winning because I'm directing this war, not because a baker gives speeches. The baker is why anyone's fighting." Coin turned from the monitor, began formal Katniss rescue planning. "Full team, options on my desk in 2 weeks. You're actually authorizing it?" "I'm planning it. That's what Peeta demanded. If the plans show feasibility, we'll consider execution. If not," Coin shrugged. "At least we tried." Plutarch understood. Coin never intended to execute a rescue. But planning cost nothing, and it kept Peeta cooperative. Week 6. District 13, Gale Hawthorne's quarters. Gale punched the concrete wall. Knuckles split. Blood-smeared gray surface. He'd been watching broadcasts, all of them. Every torture session, every time Snow paraded Katniss looking more broken. 6 weeks she'd been in the Capitol for 6 weeks, and District 13 was doing nothing. Gale stormed through corridors. Midnight. Past curfew. Didn't care. Marched to Coin's office. Guards tried to stop him. He shoved past. Burst through the door. Coin looked up from her desk. "Mr. Hawthorne, it's after hours. When are we rescuing her? The planning team is evaluating for 4 weeks. I want a date, a timeline, something." Coin set down her pen. A rescue into the Capitol at this stage would cost hundreds of lives for one person. That's not a trade I can justify. One person, that's Katniss. The reason anyone's fighting. No, the reason people fight is Peeta Mellark. His broadcasts, his speeches, his ability to inspire without being self-destructive. Katniss was valuable. Peeta is irreplaceable. Gale stared. "You never intended to rescue her." "I intended to evaluate." "We did. The risk is too high." "Then I'll do it myself." "You'll do nothing. You're a soldier, Mr. Hawthorne. A good one. But you're not a one-man army. Attempt an unauthorized mission, you'll be court-martialed." "I don't care." "You should. Because dying in a failed rescue helps no one. Certainly not Katniss." Coin stood. "We win the war. We win fast. We take the Capitol, we capture Snow, then we retrieve Katniss. Alive. Move now, she dies. Be patient, she lives. Which do you prefer?" Gale had no answer. Tactically, Coin was right, but every instinct screamed that waiting was wrong. "Get out of my office, return to quarters. If I see you before morning briefing, you're confined to barracks." Gale left, walked through District 13's corridors, hands still bleeding. He'd grown up with Katniss, hunted with her, loved her, and now she was being destroyed while he stood helpless in a bunker. The rage was building, had been building since the hovercraft landed without her. Gale reached his quarters, sat on the bed, stared at the wall. Made a decision. If Coin wouldn't authorize a rescue, he'd find people who would. Assemble a team, plan it himself, execute before anyone could stop him, because leaving Katniss in that mansion wasn't an option. And if that made him a traitor, so be it. Week 7. District 13. Medical Bay. Finnick Odair sat in a wheelchair. Leg in a cast, the arena's electrical blast had shattered his femur. Recovery was slow. Peeta visited daily. Today, Finnick was watching a Capitol broadcast. Against medical advice, the screen showed Katniss, restrained, screaming, audio muted but her mouth formed words. "Prim, Gale, please." Finnick's hands gripped the wheelchair arms. "Turn it off," Peeta said. "No. Finnick, I need to see what they're doing, what I couldn't stop." Finnick's voice was raw. "I was supposed to protect her in the arena. That was the plan. Keep Katniss alive. Get her out. I failed." The broadcast ended, replaced by Caesar analyzing Katniss's deteriorating mental state. "Neither will your speeches, or your paintings." Finnick gestured at the medical bay. "We're in here recovering while she's in there being destroyed, and Coin won't do anything. She's planning a rescue. She's pretending to plan. to keep you cooperative, but she'll never execute. Know why? Because you're more useful than Katniss. You follow orders. You inspire without questioning. You're the perfect Mockingjay, broken enough to manipulate, functional enough to be effective. The words hit like a blow. That's not true, Peeta said weakly. Isn't it? Every time Coin asks you to do something, you do it. Give a speech? Done. Paint murals? Done. Convince District 2 to surrender? Done. You're everything Katniss refused to be. Put his head in his hands. So what do? Stop cooperating? The rebellion collapses? Stop inspiring? Districts give up. Either way, Katniss stays in that room. Finnick leaned forward. You want to save her? Then save her. Assemble a team, plan the mission yourself. Execute before Coin stops you. That's treason. That's loyalty. Finnick's eyes were hard. And if there's one thing I know about you, Peeta Mellark, it's that you're loyal to people you love. Not to governments, not to causes, to people. Before Peeta could respond, alarms blared, red lights flashed, an announcement, all personnel to secure locations, incoming Capitol broadcast. Mandatory viewing. Peeta and Finnick moved to the nearest monitor. President Snow appeared. In his study, white roses everywhere, face calm. I address you with heavy heart. Terrorist Katniss Everdeen has been in our custody for 7 weeks. We attempted rehabilitation, counseling, mercy. We hoped she would renounce violence, would help us achieve peace. Snow's expression hardened. She refused. Despite our compassion, she remains committed to rebellion. Therefore, we demonstrate the consequences of her choices. Strapped to a chair, hollow eyes, visible weight loss, a Capitol physician entered. Held up a syringe. Tracker Jacker venom, Snow's voice narrated. A powerful tool. Used properly, it can help confused individuals understand truth. The physician injected Katniss. She thrashed. The screen showed her face as the venom took effect, pupils dilated, screaming. Not words, just terror. In the medical bay, Peeta stood frozen, watching the girl he loved being chemically tortured on live television. Turn it off, Finnick said. Peeta showed Katniss hallucinating, crying, begging, then finally broken. Quiet, staring at nothing. Snow's face returned. This is what rebellion costs. Not glory, not freedom, just suffering. Miss Everdeen learned that lesson. I hope the districts learn it too. The broadcast ended. Peeta collapsed. Legs gave out, fell to his knees on the medical bay floor. Finnick tried to help. Peeta shoved him away. I'm going to kill him, Peeta whispered. I'm going to kill Snow. Kill everyone who touched her. You're going to breathe, Haymitch's voice. He'd appeared in the doorway. Stand up, go to your quarters, scream into a pillow, because if Coin sees you like this, she'll pull you from broadcasts. And if she pulls you, the rebellion loses momentum. And if we lose momentum, Katniss dies in that room. Peeta looked up, tears streaming. How do you do it? How do you watch people suffer and just keep going? Alcohol, mostly. But when that fails, I remind myself that giving up means they win, and I'm too stubborn to let them win. Haymitch pulled Peeta to his feet. Come on, we're going to your quarters. You're going to cry, then paint, then tomorrow give another speech, and the day after, another, until we win or die trying. They left. Finnick sat alone in the medical bay, staring at the blank monitor. On the screen's reflection, he saw his own face. The same helplessness he'd felt when Annie was captured. Now Katniss was suffering the same fate, and there was nothing he could do, nothing except wait and hope, and pretend that was enough. Week 8, District 13, Weapons Development Lab. Gale worked at a table covered with schematics. BT sat across from him, examining circuitry. The double detonation system is functional, BT said. First explosion draws responders, second kills them. Brutal, effective, morally questionable. Morally questionable wins wars, Gale said. How many can you build? As many as needed. But Gale, what's this really for? Coin hasn't authorized operations requiring this level of... BT looked up. What are you planning? Gale checked the door, confirmed privacy. I'm going after Katniss, Capitol, Presidential Mansion, 2 weeks. I need a team, equipment, intel. Without Coin knowing, that's treason. That's loyalty. Beatty set down his tools. The Capitol is the most heavily defended location in Panem. Snow's mansion, you'd never get within a mile. We got you, Peeta and Finnick, out of the arena. If Plutarch can extract people from live games, I can extract one person from a building. The arena extraction had months of planning, insider support, game maker cooperation. You have none of that. Then I'll improvise. Gale leaned forward. BT, she's been in there 8 weeks. Every broadcast shows her more broken. At some point, there won't be anything left to rescue. If we wait for Coin's permission, we wait forever. BT was quiet. Then, who else knows? Phoenix Inn, Johanna's Willing, couple District 12 survivors, Tom and Levy, people who owe Katniss their lives. That's not an extraction team, that's a suicide squad. Hovercraft access, capital layouts, security protocols, and if I refuse, I go anyway, just with worse odds. Beatty removed his glasses, rubbed his eyes. You're asking me to betray Coin, to risk the entire rebellion for one person. I'm asking you to save the person who started this rebellion, who volunteered for her sister, who inspired every district to fight. And Peeta? Does he know? No, he can't. Coin watches him too closely. If he knew, she'd find out and stop us. So you're rescuing the girl he loves without telling him. Peeta's the Mockingjay now. Too valuable to risk. But I'm expendable. If this fails, Coin loses me and a few others. The rebellion continues. But if it works, if we get Katniss out, everything changes. Beatty stared at the weapon schematics, the double detonation bombs, the tools of war. Finally, he nodded. I'll help. One condition, we tell Haymitch he knows Katniss better than anyone. If there's a way to do this without everyone dying, he'll see it. Deal. They shook hands, both knowing they'd just committed treason, both knowing the cost if they failed. But leaving Katniss in the Capitol was a betrayal worse than any court-martial. Part 2, Week 9. The Capitol. Presidential Mansion. Medical Wing. Katniss woke on a hospital bed. White sheets, IV drip in her arm. Body felt disconnected. Heavy. A doctor stood nearby. Capitol physician. Middle-aged woman. Clinical expression. Checked monitors without looking at Katniss. Where am I? Recovery room, the conditioning process requires rest periods between sessions. Conditioning. The word felt foreign. Katniss tried to sit up. Couldn't. Muscles wouldn't respond. The tracker-jacker venom treatments are progressing well. Your fear responses are being appropriately restructured. I don't understand. You will, in time. The doctor adjusted the IV. President Snow will want to see you soon. Rest while you can. Katniss stared at the ceiling, tried to remember. The arena, the dome exploding, running, peacekeepers, then blank. Weeks of blank, just flashes. White rooms, screaming, needles, Caesar Flickerman asking questions she couldn't answer. And one name repeating, Prim. Was Prim safe? Alive? The Capitol had shown footage. Prim in District 13, healthy. But was it real? Katniss closed her eyes, tried to focus on that image. Prim's face. Her sister. The reason she'd volunteered. But when she tried to hold the memory, something else emerged. Fear. Overwhelming. Irrational. Like Prim was in danger. Like thinking about her made terrible things happen. Katniss's breath quickened. Heart rate spiked. Monitors beeped. The doctor returned. Injected something into the IV. Sedative. Don't fight it. The conditioning is taking hold. Soon you won't remember why you were afraid. You'll just know certain thoughts lead to pain. And you'll stop having those thoughts. That's progress. Darkness took her. Week 10. District 13. Command Center. Coin stood before a tactical display. Panem's map. Red zones, capital control. Blue zones, rebel territory. Blue was spreading. Plutarch pointed to District 1. They're wavering. Factories slowed production 60%. Peeta's last broadcast, about the children in the Hunger Games, resonated. Luxury manufacturers don't want association with child murder. When can we move on District 1? Coin asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Need to secure supply lines from District 9 first. Make it 2 weeks. We're on a timeline. Coin turned to Boggs. Capital defenses, fortifying. They've pulled peacekeepers from outer districts to reinforce the capital proper. Snow's preparing for siege. Good. Let him. The longer he sits in that mansion, the more time we have to strangle supply chains. Coin studied the map. Where's Peeta? Cressida says footage of him with wounded children is extraordinarily effective. It better be. He's our entire propaganda apparatus. Coin paused. What about Gale Hawthorne? Any incidents since the confrontation? If he attempts anything unauthorized, stop him. Coin dismissed the room. Everyone left except Plutarch. You're not planning to rescue Katniss at all, are you? Plutarch said quietly. I'm planning to win a war. Katniss Everdeen is one variable in a complex equation. Important, but not essential. Peeta thinks she's essential. Peeta is a traumatized 19-year-old. His emotional attachments are understandable but strategically irrelevant. Coin pulled up footage, showed Peeta in District 8 holding a burned child's hand while she died, tears streaming down his face. This wins wars, not rescue missions, not sentimentality, raw, genuine human emotion broadcast to millions. Peeta provides that. Katniss never could. She inspired people through defiance, which made her impossible to control. Peeta inspires through empathy, which makes him perfect. Coin turned off the monitor. When we take the Capitol, we'll retrieve Katniss. If she's functional, we'll rehabilitate her. If not, we'll handle it quietly. But I will not risk this rebellion's momentum for a rescue that might fail. And when Peeta realizes you've been lying, he'll grieve. He'll be angry. Then he'll keep fighting. Because that's who he is. That's what he does. Coin walked to the door. We all have roles, Plutarch. Peeta's role is inspiration. Katniss's role is martyrdom. Mine is victory. I intend to fulfill mine. She left. Plutarch stood alone, staring at the frozen image of Peeta's face. I'm sorry, kid, Plutarch whispered. You deserved better than this. Week 11, District 13, Haymitch's quarters. Gale stood in the doorway, Finnick behind him, Beatty in the corridor. We need to talk, Gale said. Haymitch gestured them inside. Closed the door, locked it. This better be good. I was sleeping. We're going after Katniss, Gale said. Week 14, extracting her from the Capitol, with or without Coin's authorization. Haymitch was quiet for a long moment. Then, sit down, all of you. They sat. Haymitch poured drinks, 4 glasses. You're talking about treason, Haymitch said. Court-martial, possible execution. You understand that? We understand, Finnick said. But leaving her in there is worse than any punishment Coin could give us. And what's the plan? You storm the presidential mansion with 3 people and hope for the best? 6 people, Gale corrected. Finnick, me, Johanna, Tom, Levy, and a former peacekeeper named Darius. BT provides technical support. We infiltrate via utility tunnels, locate Katniss, extract before Capitol forces converge. That's a death wish. It's the only option we've got. Gale leaned forward. Haymitch, she's been in there 11 weeks. Every broadcast shows her more broken. Coin's not going to authorize a rescue. She's made that clear. So either we go rogue, or we abandon Katniss to whatever Snow's doing to her. Haymitch drank, considered. Peeta know about this? No. Can't tell him. Coin watches him too closely. So you're planning to rescue the girl he loves without his knowledge. He's going to be furious. He can be furious later, after she's safe. And if you fail, if you die trying, then we die knowing we tried, which is more than the rest of us can say. Haymitch stood, walked to his window, looked out at District 13's concrete corridors. I'll help, he said finally, but not because I think this'll work, because I can't live with myself if I don't try. He turned back. Here's what you need. Forged Capitol credentials, peacekeeper uniforms, a stolen hovercraft with authorization codes that'll pass inspection for exactly 1 landing, tracker jammers to hide your signatures for 30 minutes, and intelligence on where Katniss is being held. You can get all that? Finnick asked. I can get some of it. BT gets the rest. Plutarch might help if we approach him right. He's got contacts in the Capitol, people who owe him favors. Haymitch poured another drink. But understand something. Even if we get Katniss out, she's not going to be the same person we knew. Snow's been conditioning her for 11 weeks. Tracker, jacker, venom. Psychological torture. She's going to be broken, hijacked, maybe beyond repair. Then we'll fix her, Gale said. Dr. Aurelius reversed hijacking before, he can do it again. And if he can't, to the stupidest rescue mission in the history of stupid rescue missions. They drank. One more thing, Haymitch said. When this goes wrong, and it will go wrong, you run. You don't be a hero. You don't sacrifice yourself for dramatic effect. You get Katniss and you run, because if you die trying to save her, it doesn't help anyone. Understood? Understood, Gale said, but his eyes said otherwise, and Haymitch knew it. Week 12, the Capitol Snow's study. President Snow reviewed reports from his medical team. Dr. Gall's successors had done excellent work. Katniss Everdeen's conditioning was ahead of schedule. The fear associations are fully established, the lead doctor reported. Any mention of rebellion, resistance, or the Mockingjay symbol triggers immediate panic. She's been conditioned to associate Gale Hawthorne with violence and death, Primrose Everdeen with helplessness and loss. The neural pathways are stable. And her compliance? Excellent. She reads prepared statements without resistance, believes cooperation protects her sister. The hijacking has convinced her that supporting the Capitol is the only way to keep Prim safe. Show me. The doctor activated a monitor. Recent footage, Katniss in a white room, clean, calm, sitting across from Caesar. CASAR, Katniss, do you understand why you're here? I caused suffering, I need to make it right. Katniss, by telling people the truth, that rebellion only brings death, that President Snow showed me mercy when he could have killed me, that the districts should stop fighting before more people die. Caesar, do you believe that? Katniss, pause, yes, I believe it. The footage ended. Snow smiled. When can we broadcast this? She's ready now, but I recommend waiting one more week. Let the final conditioning treatments solidify. We want zero chance of her breaking script during live broadcast. 1 week then, prepare prime time slot. Every district, I want everyone to see their Mockingjay pledge allegiance to the Capitol. Snow stood, and begin preparations for her eventual release. Release, sir. Once the rebels are defeated, we'll return her to District 12. Broken but alive, a living reminder of what happens to symbols who defy authority. She'll spend the rest of her life as proof that the Capitol's mercy is real, but so is its justice. The doctor left. Snow poured a drink, looked out at the Capitol. The rebellion was accelerating exactly as planned. Peeta Mellark was inspiring the districts beautifully, making them reckless, desperate, making them believe victory was possible. And when they massed for the final assault on the Capitol, when they committed everything to one grand offensive, Snow would spring his trap. The pods, the mutations, the defenses built into every street. The Capitol would become one massive arena, and the rebels would die like tributes in spectacular, televised fashion. Snow raised his glass. To Peeta Mellark, the perfect Mockingjay, inspiring people to march toward their own destruction. He drank, tasted roses and blood. Week 13, District 13, Peeta's quarters. Peeta hadn't slept in 3 days, nightmares constant. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Katniss screaming, saw her eyes go empty. He painted instead. Another mural, this time all 23 tributes from the 74th Hunger Games. Every face, every name, every person the Capitol had murdered. At the center, Rue and Thresh, the tributes from District 11 whose deaths had sparked the first uprisings. A knock. Haymitch entered without waiting. You look like hell, Haymitch said. I feel worse. Good, means you're still human. Haymitch set down a tray. Eat. You're filming in 2 hours. I can't do another broadcast. Can't stand in front of cameras and talk about fighting while she's being hijacked. I know. But here's the thing. Every broadcast you do makes the rebellion stronger. And the stronger we get, the faster we win. And the faster we win, the sooner we can get her out. Peeta picked at the food. Coin's not planning a rescue, you know that, right? I know. Understood? Peeta looked up. Gale's planning a rogue mission. Week 14, going into the Capitol. Extracting Katniss. He's got a team, equipment, and my reluctant support. You're helping him commit treason. I'm helping him save Katniss. There's a difference. I want in. No. Haymitch, you're too valuable. Coin watches you constantly. If you disappear for a planning meeting, she'll know. If you try to leave District 13, she'll stop you. Gale can slip away because he's just a soldier. You're the Mockingjay. You're locked in. So what? I just wait here while Gale risks his life. You keep Coin distracted. Keep doing broadcasts. Keep being the perfect propaganda tool. Give Gale the window he needs to get in and out without Coin noticing. Peeta stood, paced. This is insane. Even if Gale gets into the Capitol, the mansion is a fortress. How is he supposed to? The same way you survived the arena, improvisation, luck, desperation. Haymitch stood. Look, this might fail. Probably will fail. But doing nothing guarantees Katniss stays in that room until Snow's done with her. At least this way, she's got a chance. And if Gale gets caught, If he dies trying, then he dies knowing he tried, which is more than the rest of us can say. Peeta sat back down, put his head in his hands. I hate this. I hate all of this. The games, the war, coin, snow, every part of it. Welcome to being a pawn in someone else's game. Gets easier after the first decade, does it? The broadcast in 2 hours. They want you to talk about the children in District 11, the ones who died during peacekeeper crackdowns after the room mural went up. Make it hurt. Make it real. Make every parent watching feel like it could have been their kid. How do I do that? Think about Prim. Think about what you'd feel if she was the one dying. Then say that, because that's what those parents are feeling, and that's what's going to make them fight. He left. Peeta sat alone with his paintings and his nightmares and his impossible task. Be inspiring. Be strong. Be the Mockingjay was being destroyed 1,000 miles away. Week 14, Day 1, District 13, 0300 hours. Gale stood in a maintenance corridor, his assembled team beside him. Finnick, limping but functional. Johanna, carrying an axe. Tom and Levy from District 12. Darius, the former peacekeeper, 6 people total. Not an army, just desperate people trying to save someone they loved. BT appeared from a service tunnel. Hovercrafts ready. Autopilot programmed to Capital Military Airbase 7, least defended landing zone. You'll have maybe an hour before they realize the craft isn't authorized. An hour's enough, Gale said. We get in, locate Katniss, extract, and get out. Nothing about this is simple, Finnick said, but we're doing it anyway. Haymitch arrived last, carried a bag, handed it to Gale. Capital Peacekeeper uniforms, forged credentials, and this. He pulled out a device, tracker jammer, keeps Capital security from locating you for 30 minutes. After that, you're on your own. 30 minutes, best BD could do on short notice. Use it wisely. Gale checked his weapon. Knife, explosives, tools of his trade. If we don't come back, you're coming back, Haymitch interrupted. Because if you don't, I have to explain to Peeta why I let his girlfriend's rescue team die. And I really don't want that conversation. The team moved toward the hangar, stopped when they saw someone standing in their path. Peeta. Going somewhere? Peeta asked. Gale's hand moved toward his knife. How did you... I'm not stupid. You've been planning something for weeks. Finnick's been sneaking supplies. BT's been working on unauthorized tech. And Haymitch has been drinking less, which means he's focused on something important. Peeta stepped forward. You're going after Katniss. You're the Mockingjay. You're too valuable to risk. I don't care. She's in there because I failed to protect her. I'm not failing again. You'll get us all killed. You're not trained. You're not... I'm the only reason you're not in restraints right now. Peeta's voice was hard. Coin hasn't noticed your planning because I've been keeping her distracted. Every broadcast, every speech, every minute I spend being her perfect propaganda tool is time you've used to prepare this mission. So either I come with you, or I walk to Coin's office right now and tell her everything. Finnick laughed, bitter. He's got you there. Gale's jaw clenched. Fine, you come. But you follow orders. You do exactly what I say, and if things go wrong, you run. Don't be a hero. Just survive. Deal. They boarded the hovercraft. BT sealed the doors. The engines hummed to life. As the craft lifted from the hangar, Haymitch watched from the platform. Knowing he'd just sent 7 people to probable death, knowing it was the right choice anyway, Week 14, Day 1, the capital. 0600 hours, the hovercraft landed at Airbase 7 without incident. Forged credentials worked. Peacekeeper uniforms passed inspection. Gale's team moved through the base like they belonged there. Inside the capital proper, they split into pairs. Gale and Peeta, Finnick and Johanna, Tom and Levy, Darius alone as Overwatch. BT's voice crackled through earpieces. You've got 28 minutes on the jammer. Capital security hasn't noticed you yet. Presidential Mansion is 2 kilometers northeast. Sublevel 3 is where they're holding her. Gale and Peeta moved through utility tunnels. Dark, damp. Nobody checked these spaces regularly. How do you know where she is? Peeta asked. BT hacked Capital security feeds, found footage of her being moved between rooms, triangulated the location, sublevel 3, medical wing. And if the footage is old, if they moved her, then we adapt. They reached a junction. Gale checked his map. This should put us directly under the mansion. There's a service elevator. Takes us to sublevel 3. We go up, find Katniss, come back down. 15 minutes total. What about guards? We avoid them. If we can't avoid them, we neutralize them. Quietly. They found the elevator. Required a key card. Gale pulled out forged credentials. Swiped. The elevator opened. They ascended. 3 floors down, doors opened on sublevel 3. White corridor, fluorescent lights, sterile, empty, too empty. Something's wrong, Peeta whispered. Gale felt it too. This level should have guards, medical staff, someone. But the corridor was deserted. They moved forward anyway. Checked room numbers, found the medical wing. First room, empty. Second room, empty. Third. Katniss, she sat on a hospital bed, clean white gown, hair brushed, looking healthier than in any broadcast. But her eyes were wrong, empty, staring at nothing. Katniss, Peeta breathed. She turned her head, looked at them. No recognition, no emotion. Who are you? Katniss asked. Peeta stepped forward. It's me, it's Peeta. We're here to rescue you. Rescue. She repeated the word like it was foreign. Why would I need rescue? I'm safe here. Katniss, this is the capital. They've been torturing you, hijacking you with trackerjacker venom. We need to get you out. Hijacking? Her face showed confusion. Then something else. Fear. No, that's not, President Snow explained. I was sick, confused. They helped me, made me better. That's what they made you believe, Gale said. He moved to her bedside. Katniss, it's me, Gale. We've hunted together since we were kids. You know me, you trust me. Accelerated. Eyes widened. Get away from me, she said, voice shaking. You kill people. You make bombs, you hurt everyone. Get away. She scrambled off the bed, backed into a corner, full panic attack. Peeta turned to Gale. What did they do to her? Associated me with violence. Gale's face was stone. She's afraid of me. The hijacking made her afraid. Katniss, Peeta said gently, we're not going to hurt you. We're your friends. We're here to help. You're rebels, Katniss said. Terrorists. If I go with you, Prim dies, that's what they said. If I cooperate with rebels, they kill Prim. I can't, I have to stay here. I have to. BT's voice in their earpieces, you've been made. Capitol security is converging on your location. You need to move now. We're not leaving without her, Gale said. Peeta approached Katniss slowly, hands visible, non-threatening. Katniss, listen to me. Prim is safe. She's in District 13. I've seen her. She's healthy. She's working as a medic. They showed you footage to manipulate you, but she's fine. I promise. You're lying. They said rebels lie. They said, I'm not lying, and I can prove it. Peeta pulled out a small photo. Prim in District 13. Recent, holding a medical chart. This is from last week. She's alive. She's safe. And she wants you to come home. Katniss stared at the photo. Tears started forming. I don't know what's real anymore, she whispered. I know. But I'm real. Gale's real. And we're going to get you out of here. You just have to trust me. Footsteps in the corridor. Peacekeepers approaching. Katniss looked at Peeta, then at the photo, then at the door. Okay. Gale pulled her to her feet. She flinched when he touched her, but didn't resist. They moved into the corridor, peacekeepers at both ends, weapons raised. Stand down, the lead peacekeeper shouted. Release the prisoner. Gale threw a smoke grenade, the corridor filled with white smoke. He pulled Katniss toward the elevator. Peeta covered their retreat, grabbing a fallen peacekeeper's weapon. They reached the elevator, doors closing, peacekeepers firing blind through smoke. A bullet caught Gale's shoulder. He grunted but kept moving. The elevator descended. They had maybe 60 seconds before peacekeepers would be waiting below. BT, Gale said into his earpiece, we've got her. Need extraction route. I've opened the maintenance hatches. Go now before they seal them. They exited at ground level, ran through corridors. Behind them, alarms and shouting. Katniss stumbled. Peeta caught her. I've got you. I don't understand, Katniss said. Why are you doing this? Why risk yourselves for me? Because you'd do the same for us, Peeta said. Because you volunteered for Prim. Because you're Katniss Everdeen. And we don't leave family behind. The rest of the team was waiting. Finnick, Johanna, Tom, and Levy. Go, Gale shouted. Move. They ran through the tunnels. Behind them, peacekeepers in pursuit. Ahead, daylight. The hovercraft waiting, 50 yards from the craft when peacekeepers opened fire. Bullets ricocheted off tunnel walls. Tom went down, shot in the back. Levy screamed. tried to help him. Gale grabbed her. "He's gone. Keep moving." They boarded the hovercraft. Darius took controls. The craft lifted. More gunfire. The hull took hits but held. As they cleared Capitol airspace, Peeta looked back, saw the presidential mansion receding, saw hovercrafts launching to pursue. "They're following us," Peeta said. "BD's jamming their targeting systems," Darius said. "We've got maybe 20 minutes before they adjust. Should be enough to reach District 13. Johanna had given her a blanket. She was shaking. Staring at nothing, Peeta sat beside her. "You're safe now." "Safe," Katniss repeated. "I don't know what that means anymore." "It means you're with us. It means Snow can't hurt you anymore." She looked at him. "They did something to my head, I know they did, but I don't know what's real and what they made me believe. I see Gale and I'm terrified. I think about rebellion and I want to scream. I try to remember why I defied the Capitol, and I can't find the answer." That's the hijacking, tracker-jacker venom. It rewrites memories, changes fear responses. But Dr. Aurelius in District 13 can help. He reversed hijacking before. He can help you. What if he can't? What if I'm broken forever? Peeta took her hand. Then we deal with it, together, real or not real. Katniss stared at their joined hands. "I don't know. We'll figure it out." The hovercraft flew toward District 13. Behind them, Capitol forces pursued but fell behind as BT's jamming took effect. They'd done it. Against impossible odds, they'd rescued Katniss Everdeen. But the girl they'd rescued wasn't the girl who'd entered the arena. She was someone else now, someone broken, someone who didn't remember why she'd ever wanted to fight. And somewhere in the Capitol, President Snow watched the escape on his monitors and smiled, because he'd gotten exactly what he wanted. The rebels had their Mockingjay back, but she was his weapon now. Week 14, Day 3. District 13, Medical Bay. Katniss lay in a hospital bed, restrained. Not as punishment, for her safety. The panic attacks were constant. Any loud noise, any mention of rebellion, any sight of Gale. Dr. Aurelius sat beside her with a notepad. "We're going to try something called real or not real. I'll make statements. You tell me if they're real memories or Capitol fabrications. Ready? You volunteered for your sister Prim at the 74th Reaping. Real or not real?" "Real." The answer came easily. "President Snow tortured you to punish the rebellion." "Real or not real?" Katniss's breathing quickened. I don't know. He said he was helping me, making me better. But it can't be. It's okay, we'll come back to that. Dr. Aurelius made notes. "Gale Hawthorne is dangerous and will hurt everyone you love. Real or not real? He makes bombs. He kills people. He's going to—" "Not real," Dr. Aurelius said firmly. "That's hijacking. The Capitol made you believe that to isolate you from allies. Gale is your friend. He risked his life to rescue you. The fear you feel is manufactured, but it feels real. I know. That's what makes hijacking so effective. We're going to work on reversing it, but it takes time." The sessions continued, 3 times daily, slowly, painfully, trying to separate real memories from Capitol conditioning. Peeta visited every day, brought food, read to her, painted in her room, the same therapy that had helped him recover from arena trauma. "What are you painting?" Katniss asked one afternoon. "Primroses. For Prim. She's been asking to visit you, but Dr. Aurelius thinks it might trigger the conditioning. The Capitol made you associate her with fear. Every time I think about her, I panic. Like something terrible will happen if I see her." Katniss watched Peeta work. "Why are you here? You should be making speeches, being the Mockingjay." "I'd rather be here. Coin won't like that. Coin can deal with it." Peeta set down his brush. "Besides, I'm not the Mockingjay. You are. I'm just keeping the seat warm until you're ready to take it back. I'm never going to be ready. I can't even look at Gale without having a panic attack. How am I supposed to inspire anyone? You just have to heal. And if I can't?" Peeta took her hand. "Real or not real? You're Katniss Everdeen, the girl who volunteered, who defied the Capitol twice, who started a rebellion." Katniss closed her eyes. "Real, I think. It feels real. But everything feels uncertain now. That's okay, we'll work through it." Outside the medical bay, Gale stood in the corridor. He'd been there an hour, trying to work up courage to enter, knowing that if Katniss saw him, she'd panic. Haymitch found him. "Still can't go in? The hijacking made me the enemy. Every time she sees my face, her brain tells her I'm going to hurt her. How do I fix that? You don't. Dr. Aurelius fixes it. You just wait. I've been waiting for 14 weeks. I'm not good at waiting. Then learn. Haymitch leaned against the wall. By the way, Coin wants to see you. About the unauthorized rescue mission. The treason. I got Katniss out, that's what mattered. She's not court-martialing you. She's making you a hero. Gale stared. What? Coin's claiming she authorized it. You're a decorated soldier who successfully extracted a high-value asset from the capital. There's going to be a ceremony, medals, the whole thing. That's insane. That's politics. Coin can't admit her Mockingjay was rescued against her orders, so she's taking credit. And you're going to smile and accept your medal and keep your mouth shut, because if you don't, she'll find a reason to make you disappear. Gale's hands clenched. She's using us. All of us, Peeta, Katniss, me, we're just pieces on her board. Welcome to rebellion. Everyone's a piece on someone's board. Question is, whether you're going to keep playing or flip the table. I think you should accept the medal. Keep your head down, help Katniss recover, and when the time comes, when we take the capital and Snow's dead, you decide then if you want to flip the table. Haymitch pushed off the wall. For now, focus on what you can control, which is making sure that girl in there survives this war with her mind intact. Gale stood alone in the corridor, staring at Katniss's door. Inside, she was laughing at something Peeta had said. First time she'd laughed in 14 weeks. Gale turned away, walked back to the weapons lab, where he belonged, where he could do something useful. Because watching the girl he loved heal with someone else, watching Peeta provide the comfort Gale's hijacked presence prevented, was more painful than any wound he'd taken in the rescue. Week 18, District 13, Command Center. Coin stood before her war council. The map showed almost complete rebel control. Only the capital and immediate surroundings remained red. We're ready for the final assault, Boggs reported. 8 districts committed, full military mobilization. 100,000 soldiers. We can march on the capital within 2 weeks. Casualties? Coin asked. High, capital defenses are extensive. We're looking at 30 to 40% losses minimum. But we'll win. Numbers are on our side. And our Mockingjay situation? Plutarch glanced at notes. Peeta's still effective. His broadcasts from the medical bay, showing him caring for Katniss, generate enormous sympathy. Districts see him as the devoted partner. Powerful imagery. What about Katniss herself? Can she be deployed? Dr. Aurelius says she's making progress. Hijacking reversal is working slowly. She can function in controlled environments. But putting her in combat or on camera would likely trigger trauma responses. So she's still useless. She's recovering from extensive psychological torture, Plutarch said sharply. Give her time. The capital assault happens in 2 weeks. I need her functional or hidden. Having a broken Mockingjay is worse than having no Mockingjay. Then keep her in District 13 during the assault. Let Peeta lead. He's been carrying this rebellion for 4 months anyway. Peeta joins the assault team. Embedded journalist role, Cressida documents his journey through the capital. Final propaganda push. That's dangerous, Boggs said. If something happens to him, then we'll find another face. But I suspect Peeta Mellark is more resilient than he appears, and more useful alive than martyred. The meeting adjourned. Coin stood alone in the command center, studying the map. 2 weeks. 2 weeks until the capital fell, until Snow was captured, until she could seize power and reshape Panem according to her vision. The Mockingjay, broken, hijacked, useless Katniss Everdeen, was irrelevant now. Peeta had proven what Coin always suspected. The symbol mattered less than the messenger, and Peeta was the perfect messenger. Controllable, reliable, willing to die for the cause, everything Katniss never was. Part 3, Week 20. The capital outskirts, rebel forces assembled in the ruins of the capital's outer districts. 100,000 soldiers, artillery, hovercrafts, the largest military force assembled since the dark days. Peeta stood with Squad 451, his assigned unit. Boggs commanded. Gale, Finnick, Holmes, Jackson, and Cressida's camera crew completed the team. Our mission is simple, Boggs explained. We're the spearhead. We push through the capital's outer defenses, reach the presidential mansion, and capture President Snow. Cressida films everything for propaganda purposes. Peeta provides morale support and broadcasts at key moments. What about the pods? Finnick asked. Capital's booby-trapped every street. Mines, mutations, Traps designed like Hunger Games arenas. We advance slowly, check every block, trigger pods deliberately when possible, avoid when we can't. How long until we reach the mansion? 3 days if we're lucky, week if we're not. That night, Peeta recorded a broadcast. Cressida positioned him against the backdrop of the Capitol's skyline. "Tomorrow we march on the Capitol," Peeta said to the camera. "Not for vengeance, not for glory, but because 75 years of children dying in arenas needs to end, because President Snow's tyranny needs to end, because Katniss Everdeen and everyone like her who've been broken by this system deserve better." He paused, composed himself. "I know Katniss is watching from District 13, and I want her to know, this is for you, for Prim, for Rue, for every child who never came home from the games. We're going to end this. I promise." The broadcast went dark. Gale approached. That was good. Moving. It was true. Peeta looked at the Capitol. She should be here, leading this. Not me. She's not ready. She might never be ready. Snow broke her too thoroughly. Then we make sure he pays for it. Gale checked his weapons, the bombs, the tools of war. When we find Snow, he's mine. Coin wants him captured, tried. Coin wants a lot of things. Doesn't mean she gets them. They rested. Tomorrow, the war's final phase began. And somewhere in District 13's medical bay, Katniss watched Peeta's broadcast on a monitor, tears streaming down her face, wishing she could be the person he believed she was. But the hijacking had taken that person away, and she didn't know if she'd ever get her back. Week 21, Day 1. The Capitol streets. Squad 451 moved through the financial district at dawn. Streets empty, civilians evacuated or hiding. Buildings silent. Perfect. Too perfect. "First pod in 50 meters, Boggs said, checking his scanner. Capitol security had mapped the traps, but rebels had hacked the database. Mines. Pressure activated, we go around. Cressida's camera crew filmed Peeta navigating rubble. The perfect shot. The Mockingjay's partner bringing justice to the Capitol. A sound. Mechanical clicking. Boggs froze. Net trap. The walls exploded. Razor wire nets shot from hidden panels. Holmes screamed as wire caught his legs. Severed them instantly. He went down. Blood pooling. Finnick rushed to help. The second net caught him, wrapped around his torso. The wire tightened, cut through armor, through flesh. Finnick, Peeta lunged forward. Gale grabbed him. "Don't. You'll trigger another." A third net deployed, missed them by inches. The squad pressed against a wall. Trapped. Holmes was dying. Finnick was caught, the wire cutting deeper with every breath. "I can't," Finnick gasped, blood on his lips. "Can't breathe." Boggs tried to reach the net controls. A fourth trap triggered. Mines. The explosion threw him backward. Shrapnel in his legs. He collapsed. "We need to move," Jackson shouted. "Now." Gale pulled a grenade, threw it at the wall where the nets originated. The explosion created an opening. They ran. Left Holmes's body. Left Finnick trapped and dying. Behind them, Finnick's screams cut off. The net had done its work. The squad reached a building, barricaded themselves inside. Boggs was bleeding out. Peeta tried to stop it with pressure. His hands came away red. "Finnick's gone," Gale said flatly. "Holmes, too. We're down to 6. We've been in the Capitol for 2 hours and we've lost 2 people. How many more before we reach Snow?" "As many as it takes." That night, Cressida filmed Peeta in the ruined building. He was supposed to give an inspiring speech, rally the districts, show strength. Instead, he broke down. "Finnick Odair is dead," Peeta said to the camera, tears streaming. He survived the Hunger Games. He survived torture. He survived everything the Capitol threw at him, and he died on a street rigged with traps, designed to look like games obstacles. Because Snow turned his entire city into an arena. I don't know how to keep doing this. I don't know how to keep inspiring people when I just watched my friend die screaming. But Finnick would want me to keep going. So I will. Not because I'm brave, because stopping means they win. The broadcast went out to every district. The response was immediate. Not just sympathy rage. Pure, focused rage. Finnick's death made it personal. The Capitol had killed the beautiful victor. The charming survivor, the man who'd loved Annie and wanted to raise his unborn child. Recruitment spiked. The districts poured every resource into the assault. This wasn't just war anymore. This was vengeance. Week 21. Day 3, District 13 Medical Bay. Katniss watched the broadcast about Finnick. Saw Peeta crying, saw the blood on his hands. He's going to die, Katniss said to Dr. Aurelius. Peeta's going to die in the capital, and I'm stuck here because my brain doesn't work anymore. Your brain works fine. It's healing, slowly, not fast enough. Katniss stood, paced. Real or not real, I need to be there, with him. Real. But Katniss, you're not ready for combat. The hijacking triggers. Then give me medication, sedatives, something to keep me functional long enough to help. I defied the capital twice. I started a rebellion, and now I'm hiding in a bunker while people die because of choices I made. That's not acceptable. What about Gale? If you see him in the capital, the conditioning will trigger panic attacks. You'll be a liability. Then I'll stay away from him. But I need to do something. Anything. I can't just watch Peeta die on television. A knock on the door. Prim entered. First time she'd visited in weeks. Dr. Aurelius had finally cleared it. Katniss, Prim said softly. Katniss turned, saw her sister, 13 years old, blonde, blue eyes. The reason for everything, the panic attack, came immediately. Irrational, overwhelming. Prim meant danger. Prim meant loss. Prim meant real or not real, Katniss gasped. Prim is safe. She's not in danger. The fear is hijacking. Not real, Dr. Aurelius confirmed. The fear is manufactured. Prim is safe. Katniss forced herself to breathe, to look at her sister, to see the reality instead of the capital's conditioning. Slowly the panic subsided. I'm okay, Katniss whispered. I'm okay. Prim approached carefully, hugged her sister. Katniss tensed, then relaxed, held Prim. I've been so worried, Prim said. But you're getting better, I can tell. I'm trying. Katniss pulled back. Prim, I need to ask you something. The capital assault, they need medics, field medics for the wounded. Are you? I volunteered 3 days ago, Prim said. I leave tomorrow. No, you can't. You're 13, I need to help people. Katniss looked at Dr. Aurelius. You're letting her go? She's a skilled medic. The assault team needs medical support. And yes, she's young. But this is war. We use everyone we can. Then, I'm going too, Katniss said. If Prim's going, I'm going. I'll do whatever it takes to keep her safe. Week 22. The capital sewers, Squad 451, now reduced to Peeta, Gale, Jackson, and Cressida's crew, moved through underground tunnels. The streets above were too dangerous. Too many pods. They'd lost 3 more soldiers in the last 2 days. We're 2 blocks from the presidential mansion, Gale said, checking maps. If we can reach the gardens, we've got a clear approach. A sound echoed through the tunnels. Clicking, scuttling, not mechanical. Organic. Mutts, Jackson whispered. They emerged from side passages. Genetic experiments, wolf-like creatures with human eyes, dead tributes' eyes. Katniss had described them from the 74th Games. The capital's signature horror. Run! Gale shouted. They ran. The mutts pursued. Fast, too fast. One caught Jackson, dragged her down. Her screams echoed as the pack tore her apart. The squad reached a ladder, started climbing. The mutts came after. Peeta was last. A mutt grabbed his leg. He kicked, pulled free, kept climbing. They emerged in a basement. Gale slammed the hatch. The mutts threw themselves against it. Metal bent but held. That won't hold long, Cressida said. Doesn't have to. We're close. Gale pointed at a wall. That's the mansion's outer foundation. We breach it, we're in. With what? We lost the explosives with Jackson. Gale pulled out his last bomb. The double detonation device. This is enough. We blow the wall, get inside, find Snow. End this. That's the weapon that, if it works like you designed, it'll kill responders. Medics. People trying to help the wounded. It'll kill capital personnel. That's the point. Coin ordered these deployed. This wins. Gale set the charge. We've got 2 minutes before it detonates. Get clear. They moved to cover. The bomb exploded. The wall collapsed. They rushed through before the second detonation. Inside the mansion gardens, Snow's roses everywhere. Perfect. Pristine. Untouched by war. And surrounding the mansion, children, 50 capital children penned in a circle. Human shields he's using, kids, Peeta said. Horror in his voice. Of course he is. It's Snow. Gale studied the setup. We can't assault while they're there. were stuck. Above them, hovercrafts approached. Rebel forces, finally back up. One hovercraft flew low, dropped parachutes over the children, the same silver parachutes that delivered sponsor gifts in the games. The children reached for them, excited, thinking they were aid packages. Peeta saw the design, recognized it. "No!" Peeta screamed. "Don't touch!" The first parachutes exploded. 20 children died instantly. The survivors scattered, screaming, rebel medics wearing District 13 uniforms. They ran toward the wounded children. Peeta saw blonde hair, a small figure, a 13-year-old girl in a medic's uniform. Prim, get back! Peeta ran toward her. The second detonation, the world became fire and sound, and flying bodies. Peeta was thrown backward, hit the ground, ears ringing. When he looked up, the medics were gone. Just bodies and blood and smoke. He crawled forward, found Prim. She was on her back. The blast had caught her directly. No visible wounds. But her chest wasn't moving. No, Prim. Wake up. Wake up. Gale appeared beside him. Saw Prim. His face went white. "That was your bomb," Peeta said. "Voice dead. Your design. Your weapon." "I didn't. Coin wasn't supposed to use it on children, on medics, on Prim," Peeta stood, still holding Prim's body. "You built it, Coin deployed it, and Prim is dead." He carried her away from the mansion, through the burning gardens, past the bodies of children and medics, and everyone the rebellion was supposed to save. Katniss arrived with a second wave of forces. She saw the smoke, the bodies, ran toward the mansion, saw Peeta carrying something, someone, small, blonde. No, not possible. She ran, reached them, saw Prim's face. "She's not dead. She can't be. The bombs," Peeta said. His voice was empty. "The parachute bombs, they killed her." Katniss looked up, saw the hovercraft retreating, saw rebel insignia. "We did this," her voice was small. "The rebellion did this. Gale's weapon, Coin's order." Katniss's eyes found Gale. He stood 20 feet away, frozen. The man she'd hunted with, the man she'd trusted. The hijacking conditioning activated, seeing Gale, seeing Prim dead. The neural pathways Snow had created clicked into place. Gale equals death, Gale equals bombs. Gale kills everyone, but this time the conditioning was right. "You killed her," Katniss said. Flat, certain. "You made the weapon that killed my sister." "Katniss, I didn't know Coin would—" "You built it anyway. You built something designed to kill medics, and you gave it to her. And now Prim is dead." She stood, drew a weapon, some soldier's rifle she'd picked up, aimed at Gale. Peeta grabbed the barrel. "Don't. He's not worth it. He killed Prim. Coin killed Prim. Gale just gave her the tool. If you shoot him, you're the same as them." Katniss lowered the weapon, not because Peeta was right, because shooting Gale was too quick, too merciful. "Get away from me," she said. "Get away and never come back. You're dead to me. Understand. You don't exist." Turned and walked away, into the burning Capitol. Disappeared. Katniss collapsed beside Prim's body. Held her sister, the girl she'd volunteered for, the reason for everything. Gone. Week 22, Day 5, Presidential Mansion. President Snow was captured in his rose garden, hands bound, kneeling. The man who'd ruled Panem for 25 years reduced to a prisoner. Coin stood over him, victorious, the rebellion's leader. "Panem's new president? You've lost," Coin said. Snow smiled. Blood leaked from his mouth sores. "Have I? Look around, Madam President. Your rebellion killed how many in the streets? How many Capitol civilians died in the fighting? How many children in that parachute attack? Casualties of war. Casualties of your ambition. You used the same tactics I did, the same ruthlessness, the same willingness to sacrifice children for political gain. You're not my replacement. You're my successor. I'm nothing like you. Keep telling yourself that." Snow coughed, blood on his lips. "But ask yourself, who authorized those parachute bombs? Who gave the order to use weapons designed to kill medics? That wasn't me. That was you." Coin's face showed nothing. "You'll be tried, executed. Justice will be served. And then what? You'll rule? Establish your own version of tyranny? Call it democracy while controlling every aspect of people's lives from your bunker in District 13? Snow laughed, wet, rattling. At least I was honest about being a dictator. You'll pretend to be something better while doing the same things. That's worse. Coin shot him. Single bullet through the forehead. Snow collapsed. Dead before he hit the ground, the execution was captured on every camera, broadcast to every district, the tyrant dead, the rebellion victorious. But standing in the crowd, Katniss saw the truth, saw Coin eliminate the only person who could testify about the parachute bombs, about who really killed those children. Snow was right. Coin was his successor, and she just eliminated the evidence. Week 23. Victory celebration. Coin stood in the city circle. Thousands watching, cameras broadcasting to every district. The war was over. The capital defeated. A new Pan Am was being born. Tomorrow, Coin announced, we will hold a symbolic execution for President Snow's crimes against humanity. The surviving victors will vote on the format. Democracy in action. The crowd cheered, didn't realize Snow was already dead, didn't know Coin had killed him privately. This would be theater. That night, the surviving victors met Peeta, Johanna, Enoberia, BT, Annie, Haymitch. Katniss was invited but said nothing, just sat, staring at nothing. We need to decide the execution format, Coin said. Proposals? A symbolic Hunger Games, Johanna said bitterly, with capital children as tributes. Let them feel what we felt. Absolutely not, Peeta said immediately. We don't murder children. That makes us exactly like Snow. Then what do you suggest? A trial, public, transparent, with evidence. Let the district see what he did and why he's being punished. Coin nodded. We'll take a vote. All in favor of a symbolic games? Enoberia raised hers. All opposed, Peeta, BT, Annie, Haymitch. The vote is tied. Katniss, you're the deciding vote. Katniss looked up. I vote no. No more games. No more children dying. That's what Prim would want. Coin's eyes narrowed. Very well. The execution will be a standard trial and sentence. Katniss Everdeen, as the Mockingjay, you'll deliver the final blow. Symbolic justice. Fine. The victors dispersed. Haymitch found Katniss afterward. You planning something? Haymitch asked. Snow's already dead. Coin killed him. This execution is fake. How do you know? He knew too much about the parachute bombs, about who really killed Prim. And what are you going to do about it? Katniss looked at him. What Coin doesn't expect. What she should have seen coming if she'd ever actually understood me. Don't do anything stupid. Stupid would be letting her win. After everything she did, everyone she killed. Prim. Finnick. All the children in those parachute blasts? You think I'm going to let her sit in Snow's mansion and rule the same way he did? You're talking about assassination. I'm talking about justice, Haymitch wanted to argue. Couldn't, because Katniss was right. Coin was Snow with better PR, and someone needed to stop her. Whatever you do, Haymitch said, make it count, because you won't get a second chance. Week 23, Day 2. The execution. The city circle was packed. Thousands watching live, millions watching broadcasts. A figure in Snow's clothing stood on a platform, body double, hands bound, waiting. Katniss stood 30 yards away, bow in hand, arrow nocked. The weapon Gale had retrieved from the arena wreckage, her signature tool. Coin stood on a podium, giving a speech about new beginnings, about democracy, about how Panem would rise from the ashes better than before. Katniss barely heard. She was focused on the bow, the arrow, the shot she needed to make. Peeta stood in the crowd, watching. He'd tried to talk to Katniss that morning. She'd said 3 words. I'm ending this. He understood what she meant, understood what she was about to do. And he didn't stop her. Coin finished her speech. Katniss Everdeen, as the Mockingjay, as the face of our rebellion, you have earned the right to execute the tyrant. Do you accept? Yes. Katniss raised the bow, aimed at the body double on the platform. Snow's words echoed in her head. From the broadcasts, from before Prim died, we're not so different, you and I. She'd hated that, refused to believe it, but he was right about one thing. They both understood power. They both understood what people would do to keep it. And Coin was proving she'd do anything. Katniss shifted her aim up, toward the podium, toward Coin. Released. The arrow flew, struck Coin through the heart. She gasped, fell backward, dead before hitting the ground. Chaos erupted. Guards rushed the platform. The crowd screamed. Cameras kept rolling. Katniss dropped the bow, stood still, waited for whatever came next. Peacekeepers tackled her, forced her to the ground. Someone screamed, "Assassin." Someone else screamed, "Traitor." "She's not a traitor. She stopped another dictator." He was pulled back. The peacekeepers dragged Katniss away, into the presidential mansion, into a cell. The body double remained on the platform, forgotten. Snow's actual corpse was somewhere in the mansion's morgue. The whole ceremony had been a lie from the start, and Katniss had ended it with an arrow through the heart of the woman who'd orchestrated it all. Week 23. Days 4 through 7. The trial. Katniss was charged with assassination of President Coin. The trial lasted 3 days. The prosecution argued she was a terrorist. The defense, Haymitch and Plutarch, argued she was a traumatized girl who'd stopped a tyrant from replacing another tyrant. Beatty provided evidence. Deployment logs showing Coin authorized the parachute bombs. Testimony from soldiers who'd seen her give the order. Proof that Coin had deliberately killed Capitol children and rebel medics to delegitimize Snow. The defense argued Coin had committed war crimes, that she'd killed Prim deliberately to eliminate Katniss as a political rival, that her vision for Panem was just another form of tyranny. The tribunal deadlocked. Half wanted execution, half wanted acquittal. Commander Paylor from District 8 cast the deciding vote. Not guilty by reason of temporary insanity. PTSD, hijacking the death of her sister, all contributed to a mental break. She's not criminally responsible. The sentence, exile to District 12. House arrest, no public role. Never allowed to leave. Katniss accepted without argument. She'd done what needed doing. The consequences were acceptable. Week 24. District 12, Katniss stood in the ruins of her old house. The place where she'd grown up, where her father had taught her to hunt, where she'd taken care of Prim. All gone now. Ashes and memories. Peeta appeared in the doorway. Paylor sent me, said I could choose where to go. I chose here. Why? Because where you go, I go. I said that in the Capitol. I meant it. I don't need protection. I'm not here to protect you. I'm here because I don't want to be anywhere else. Peeta stepped inside. The hijacking made you afraid of Gale, made you panic around Prim, but never me. Even when your brain was broken, you trusted me. That means something. Katniss looked at him. Real or not real, you love me. Peeta smiled. Sad. Real. I've loved you since I was 5 years old. That's never changed, even after everything. After I killed Coin, She gestured at herself. After I'm broken? You're not broken, you're healing. There's a difference. Peeta crossed the room, took her hand. Real or not real, we can build something here. Together, something new. Katniss thought about Prim, about the primroses they'd plant in the meadow, about the life her sister never got to live. Real, Katniss said quietly. I think that's real. They stayed in District 12, rebuilt slowly. Peeta opened a bakery, Katniss hunted. They planted evening primroses in the meadow where Prim used to pick flowers. The nightmares never fully stopped. The hijacking effects lingered. Sometimes Katniss would see something, a weapon, a uniform, a blonde child, and panic. But Peeta was always there, patient, steady. Real or not real became their constant refrain, working through memories, separating truth from capital conditioning, healing one day at a time. Gale never returned to District 12. He self-exiled to District 2, took a military command position in Paylor's new government. Katniss heard reports occasionally. He'd married, had a family, built a life far from the ghosts of District 12. She never forgave him for Prim's death. Never would. The conditioning had been right about one thing. Gale's weapons killed people she loved. That truth transcended hijacking. Haymitch stayed in District 12. Got sober. Watched over Katniss and Peeta like an overprotective uncle. Brought news from the outside world. Mostly stayed quiet, just present. The new government stabilized under Paylor. Not perfect. Not the democracy Coin had promised. But better than Snow, better than the games. District councils, representatives, actual elections, slow progress, real progress. The Hunger Games were abolished permanently. The arenas destroyed. The tributes memorialized. Peeta painted murals in every district. Faces of the fallen. Names, stories, making sure they were remembered as people, not statistics. 5 years after the war ended, Katniss and Peeta sat in the meadow. The evening primroses bloomed around them. Do you think about her? Peeta asked. Prime, every day, every hour, every time I see these flowers. Me too. Peeta was quiet for a moment. Real or not real, she'd want us to be happy. Katniss considered, thought about her sister. 13 years old, training as a medic, running toward wounded children instead of away, dying trying to help. Real, Katniss said. Prime always wanted people to be happy. Even when she was scared, even watching me in the arena, she wanted me to survive, to live, not just exist. Are you living or just existing? I'm trying. Peeta took her hand. That's enough. That's more than enough. 2 years later, they adopted a girl, orphaned by the war. 5 years old, dark hair, bright eyes. They named her Primrose. The child brought life back to the house. Laughter, purpose, something beyond grief and survival. Katniss taught her about plants, about hunting, about the woods. Peeta taught her to paint, to bake, to see beauty in the world despite its darkness. One day, young Primrose asked about her namesake. Who was Prim? The first Prim? Katniss and Peeta exchanged glances. They'd known this question would come. She was my sister, Katniss said. She was kind and brave, and she died helping people. That's who you're named after. Someone who chose love over fear, who ran toward danger to help instead of running away. Was she a Mockingjay like you? No, she was better than a Mockingjay. She was a healer, and healers are more important than symbols. What's a symbol? Something people believe in, but symbols can be manipulated, broken, used. Your namesake was never a symbol. She was just herself. That made her stronger than any symbol could be. Young Primrose didn't fully understand, but she would, eventually. That night, Katniss and Peeta sat on their porch, the adopted daughter asleep inside, the meadow peaceful under moonlight. Real or not real, Katniss said. We survived. Real. Real or not real, it was worth it. Peeta thought for a long moment. I don't know. We lost too much. Prim, Finnick, everyone who died in the streets, the children in those parachute blasts. The cost was... He stopped. I don't know if anything's worth that cost. But we ended the games, we stopped snow, we stopped coin. Children don't die in arenas anymore. That has to mean something. The games ended, but war killed more people than 74 years of games ever did. So what did we really accomplish? We survived, Katniss said. We built something new. We adopted a child who'd have died without us. We planted flowers for the dead. We remembered them. That's not nothing. No, but it's what we have. They sat in silence, two broken people in a broken world, trying to build something that wasn't broken, failing sometimes, succeeding sometimes, continuing anyway, because continuing was all they could do. The games were over. The capital was gone. The rebellion had won, but the cost was permanent, written in graves and nightmares and hijacked memories. Written in a 13-year-old medic's body lying in the presidential mansion gardens, Katniss Everdeen had started a war to save her sister, and the war had killed her sister anyway. There was no victory in that, no triumph, just survival, just the choice to keep going despite everything. So they kept going, planted flowers, raised a child, painted murals, baked bread, hunted game, lived. Not happily, not perfectly, not without pain, but lived. And in the ruins of Panem, in a world trying to remember how to be human after 75 years of manufactured cruelty, that was the only revolution that mattered. The revolution of two people choosing life over death, love over hate, memory over forgetting, choosing every day to wake up and try again, even when trying hurt, even when the cost seemed too high, even when the nightmares came and the hijacking effects flared and the weight of everyone they'd lost threatened to crush them. They tried, for Prim, for Finnick, for Rue, for every child who never came home. They tried, and some days that was enough. Epilogue, the meadow, 20 years later. Katniss sat in the meadow, older now, gray in her hair, lines on her face, but alive. The evening primroses bloomed around her. Prim's flowers. Always Prim's flowers. Young Primrose, not young anymore, 22 now, sat beside her with a baby, Katniss's grandchild, a boy, named Finnick. Tell me about the games, Primrose said. Tell me what it was really like. Katniss had avoided this conversation for 20 years, but her daughter deserved the truth. The games were everything terrible about humanity, Katniss said. 24 children forced to kill each other for entertainment, for control. For 74 years the Capitol made us watch our children die, and we accepted it because we were afraid, because we didn't know we could fight back. But you did fight back. I tried. I volunteered for your namesake. I defied the Capitol. I started a rebellion, and the rebellion won. But the cost? Her voice broke. The cost was your namesake's life, was Finnick's life, was thousands of lives. Sometimes I wonder if it was worth it. The games ended. That's worth something, is it? We ended one form of tyranny. But the war created new suffering, new trauma. Your namesake died in a bombing our own side committed. How is that victory? Primrose was quiet for a moment. Then, the games don't exist anymore. This baby, your grandson, will never be reaped, will never face an arena. That's what you accomplished. That's what the war won. Not perfect peace, not a perfect world, but a world where children aren't murdered for entertainment. That's not nothing. Katniss looked at the baby, Finnick, named for a hero, a friend, a man who died in sewers fighting for something better. No, Katniss agreed. That's not nothing. Limping slightly, old war injury, but smiling. Always smiling when he looked at their family. Real or not real, Peeta said, joining them. We did the best we could. 20 years of healing, 20 years of nightmares, 20 years of choosing to keep going. Real, she said. We did the best we could. It wasn't enough. But it was real, the next generation. Born into a world without games, without arenas, without annual child sacrifice. A world bought with Prim's life, with Finnick's life, with thousands of lives. Was it worth it? Katniss didn't know, would never know. But she knew this. The baby in her arms would never stand on a pedestal waiting for a gong to sound, would never face careers with weapons, would never be entertainment for Capitol citizens. That was something. Maybe not enough to balance the cost, but something. And in the meadow where Prim had once picked flowers, surrounded by evening primroses blooming in the sunset, Katniss Everdeen, the girl who volunteered, who defied, who survived, who broke, who killed, who lived, made her peace with that. Not forgiveness, not acceptance, just peace. The games were over. The cost was paid. The survivors endured. And the evening primroses bloomed. Year after year after year. Forever. The end.